Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone for today's session. Today it is called Nam Smaran, or Remember the Holy Name. Of course, at every time that we chant the Holy Name and our mind is somewhere else, we remember, oh, the Holy Name. Huh? But we will try today to put special emphasis or special focus on the name itself. We often have different types of meditation. Today, we want the name to be in the foreground of anything else. And for that, there is actually something very basic, but very important that often it's neglected, is the pronunciation of the mantra. And often if you hear someone chanting and you hear carefully, sometimes someone chant and you do some service around and you just listen, very, very often it's not full mantras. Some part of the mantra are missing. I personally often in the Krishna, Krishna, I have only one Krishna, and Vajanti is listening and say, oh, again, you miss one Krishna here. So that we want to make very, very careful attention that we chant full mantras. It seems that when our mind is wandering, we are just not allowed or not able to actually chant full mantras. Some part are missing here and missing there. Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was saying that in his temple there was a devotee who was chanting very, very fast his rounds. And then he said he was once listening and he understood he is not chanting the Maha mantra, he's chanting the mini mantra. So this is what we will try to do at this first. And when we actually make attention to the pronunciation, our hearing becomes sharper. Because when you want to check how you pronounce, you have to actually hear very carefully. Once in a Serbian camp in Serbia, the summer camp, we had the visit of Japa Swami, and he gave a Japa workshop. And in his Japa workshop, he will go to all the devotees and listen how they chant. And then he will tell them what they are missing, which name they are actually missing. And sometimes it's not a name, but it's part of the name. Hare Rama, we don't say Rama, but say Ra, and we are already with the next Hare. So we don't want to slow down to super slow chanting to make sure. We want to keep the same speed as usual, but we want to make sure we chant everything. And the most important, why do we do that? Because we know that the holy name is non-different from Krishna, and that we don't want to break part of Krishna's name or Radharani's name. We want actually, for their pleasure, we want to chant all the names properly. So we keep the same speed, but now we put really nice attention to make sure we chant the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna. So we will go one step further into this focus on the holy name. And now we will overview what is Traktaka, or this is like a visualization. Usually Traktaka is used in the normal world to meditate on the flame of a candle. But Vaishnavas, they use all the techniques, but in Krishna consciousness. And we have two acharyas. One was Virachandra Goswami, the son of Nityananda, and the other one was Bhagavan Das Ji Maharaj, a famous Gaudiya Vaishnava, who had actually carved the holy name in stone, and they will worship that stone like they will worship a deity, and they will chant the holy name while looking at the stone and the letter of the holy name. Very often we use only the hearing and the chanting, and our eyes are closed, but we see many things inside in our mind. But now we would like to have use our vision for the holy name to help us, to support us, to focus our attention to the holy name. So we have one Maha Mantra there, if you want. We have some in books here, if you wish. And for those of us who are accustomed to do that, we can also just see the letter in the mind. But the point is we do chanting, hearing, and we visualize the letters of the mantra as we chant them. It is actually very, very supportive when we use this visual aspect to focus our mind. I was speaking with one god brother recently about, because we had a retreat in Govardhan that was on smaranam, or remembrance, and usually we hear first you have nam smaran, and then you have Rupa Smaran, the form of the Lord, then you have the qualities of the Lord, and then you have the pastimes of the Lord that becomes revealed. So the holy name is the first Smaran, or the first place where everything else will revealed. And my friend was saying, if you really work deeply in seeing the letters, it's almost like you are carving the letters of the Maha Mantra in your mind. Like we have those acharya who will carve it on a stone. So when you do that, it gets like deeper and deeper in our consciousness, and then it gets also much more easy when we chant, because it's already rooted, it's already graved to some extent in our consciousness. So we can try to carve the names, the holy name, or every name as we chant, and visualize them inside of our consciousness, while remembering the most important. We don't do just a dry attempt of capturing the holy name. We do that as a service. We do that because we know the name is non-different than Krishna, and we want to give our full attention. So we use those techniques just to give pleasure to Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we are today trying to focus on the name, simply the name. And there is a very beautiful verse from Chaitanya Bhagavat that many of you might know. It's Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dan. No, yeah, 3 times. Bhakti e Krishna Nam Smarana Krandan. And that means devotional service, devotional service, devotional service is the greatest treasure. Devotional service means crying while remembering Krishna's name. So this is what we try to do, to remember the name and to stay with the name. There was another time in Serbia also where my spiritual master, His Holiness Sacinandana Swami, gave a disciple meeting. That must have been around 2006, 2007, or something like this. And in the disciple meeting, he really wanted his disciple to chant the holy name properly when they chant Japa. So he all made us chant Japa. And as we were chanting, he would say, now focus on Hare. Then we would chant. And they would say, okay, now focus on Krishna. Now focus on Hare. Now focus on Rama. So he would help us to take like part of the Maha Mantra, where we will give a special focus on. And that's actually very, very helpful to bring the name deep. There are many different ways one can do that. For example, often my spiritual master will say, focus on the first Hare. So you might space out somewhere in the mantra, but at least you make sure that the first Hare you are there. But it can be also the first Hare Krishna and the first Hare Rama. That you have to, even if you don't hear everything full, no problem, but at least a part of the mantra. It can be Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, or Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So you can choose as you chant, put a certain emphasis to a particular place of the mantra, so that your mind cannot go too far, because and in few words, I have to be present for this particular part of the mantra. Some they do 4 mantra in a row. The first mantra, the first pair, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Second mantra, the second pair, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Third mantra, Krishna, Krishna, Rama, Rama. Fourth mantra, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. That's the hardcore focus of the mind for 4 mantras. So you can choose what fits the most, but try to keep really full focus on the name and take part of the Maha Mantra where you will really make sure that you are there, that you give a particular focus. And remember, we cannot do that on our own. It's actually by the blessing of the Lord. When the Lord sees that we make sufficient endeavor, He will allow us to do that, and we do that for His pleasure. We don't do that just for the thinking we are great, we can do it. No, it's for the pleasure of the holy name, the pleasure of Radha and Krishna in their holy name form.